Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
It's Darryl.
And this is episode 453. Penguins and Superboys doing work.
The work.
I mean, honestly, Oz put in some work this week on Penguin.
I mean, let's be fair. He's been putting in work since day one.
Oh yeah, I mean he's a day one.
I mean, if
but you know,
well, especially if you're talking about this week.
Oh yeah,
and day one. I don't mean episode one. I mean day one.
Yeah, and Jonathan is putting in some work on Supes and Lolo, and Jordan's looking for a job. So there's that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about that more. Speaking of like day one ooze, I forgot to tell you the other day when I was at work Thursday. We walked out of the building and there was a guy with a main event Jey Uso shirt on, so I did the little yeet at him. And he just started laughing and came up and gave me a big high five.
How great was no, I won't say great, but how funny was the Roman Reigns yeet?
Oh, he was just like, he's just kind of looking around. He made that little face and he goes, yeet.
That's the only thing he said the whole time. It was awesome.
Yeah, let's talk about Crown Jewel for a second. I think Nia Jax needs to retire from wrestling.
I will say this, and she's better than she was. But that's like saying episode X of The Acolyte was better than episode Y. It's like the bar is so low that it technically is true, but it doesn't make that person even serviceable. She's not even serviceable in the ring. Right. Every time she wrestles, I'm like tensed up waiting for her to hurt somebody.
Right.
That's what it is right now.
I thought she was I thought she was going to hurt my girl really bad. Yeah, a couple times.
It's like the whole Tonga Loa thing. I'm always waiting for him to botch now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because again, I've just known him in WWE, but apparently he's had a history of botches even before that.
Yeah, he's a mainstay on like Botchamania. So
yeah. Oh, should we say botch? Because I know Chris Jericho doesn't like that.
Chris Jericho was a botch. Did you know that? Because he's on the list.
It's funny. I saw that somebody used that GIF on the Michigan message boards about something like, "You just made the list."
You just made the list. So yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things, right? That's going on in the world. But no, so Crown Jewel was interesting. Those belts were super ugly. I thought it was funny that none of the princes came out and gave Liv her belt. It was just Paul, just Hunter, Triple H, whatever you want to call him. Mm-hmm. And then like they all like couldn't get their dresses hiked up high enough to get into the ring to give Cody his.
I didn't even pay attention to that.
So, yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. They had a perfect chance to take the tag belts off of the most boring tag team champions maybe in history, and they didn't. That was silly. And
they are really trying to make them work, and it just
doesn't. It doesn't work, and they're actually wasting Bianca Belair's prime.
I was just about to say, like, she can do it in the ring as a singles.
Oh, she has. I mean, she was a great champ. She was champ.
Well, yeah,
she's been champ a couple times. I think she had like a 300-day run or something like that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you know,
and I'm one of those that wants Jade Cargill to work. I really want her to work, but she's just not working.
She's doing too much. That's the problem. They need to like just re-simplify her moveset like AEW did, and just have her squash people. But I don't know. I'm also upset that coming out of Crown Jewel, like we have to deal with Gunther in the Riz vacuum.
Dude, stop.
What?
Gunther is freaking awesome.
No, Gunther's not the Riz vacuum. He's got to face the Riz vacuum.
Oh, that's what I was going to tell you because I I finally
Oh,
watched the rest of the Monday Night Raw. So yeah. Oh my,
they missed a prime
why are they still
opportunity
doing this?
to have the greatest heel in
Why?
the history of wrestling go up against the ring general, and
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't
Why
know.
are they doing this? That's what I had. That's what I said when
Uh,
I saw that. I'm just like, why? And I got to say, I'm really liking the Seth Rollins Bronson Reed thing,
yeah,
their little feud,
yeah. I mean, he's
and
definitely gonna kill
I
Seth Rollins, like legitimately kill him.
yeah, dude, that just does not look fun taking the
Right?
avalanche or the tsunami. This just does not look fun at all.
No.
And I give Seth props for taking 6 of those at one
Right.
a few months back.
Right.
So
Right. Right. Okay, I'm a little distracted. I'll turn this off in a second, but I'm looking at the election
yeah,
map.
please turn it off. Yeah.
I can't help myself. But they've called Decision Desk is calling Oklahoma and Missouri with 0% votes in for Trump. It's like, come on, guys. Like, don't even put it up yet. It's not like you don't have any data. So it's funny. I mean, the only place you can legitimately do that with 0% votes in is Washington, D.C. So, all right. I'm done. I'm closing it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to talk about the Penguin?
Oswald Cobb.
Oswald Cobb.
I have to catch myself every time I say his name because
You
I
want to
want
say
to say
Cobblepot?
Cobblepot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, then some nice rims you got there.
I,
Did you watch Billions?
no, for the 1000th time, I have not.
Have I asked you that before? I feel like I ask you that a lot.
Is water wet? Yes. Do we breathe air? Like, yes, you always ask me.
So that gangster he was talking to he was a really cool character on Billions, and it was fun to see him because I was like, wait, why do I know he played Victor, but so that guy, that character, the Ray
Calabrese?
Calabrese, you know who he is in the comics, right?
I do not. No.
He's Catwoman's dad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was from a 2010 like series. And it turned out to be Selena Kyle's dad. So Calabrese Kyle, kind of she shortened it.
Hmm.
And he was like he was a mobster. He faked his own death and he like resurfaced he was called the Lion. It was Leo Leone. And he ended up in Blackgate prison and everything and all that. But it's really funny because it's like, oh wait, they brought on Catwoman's dad, like, and it's a flashback, right? So I'm curious, could we get a cool Catwoman series as the next, the next big DC whatever universe show? And would you be interested in that? Because it would have to be like a young, like think like Gotham, right? But with just like a young Catwoman.
Off the cuff, I say I would not be interested.
Yeah.
With that being said, I really wasn't interested in the Penguin. Now you have a great actor in Colin Farrell,
Right.
which that kind of pulls me into. I'm not interested, but I'll take a chance on it. And we got what we got.
Right.
We got
Oh,
what
yeah.
we have now. And unless they do a Dallas and all of this has been a dream, and he wakes up on the couch where with his mom as a when he's 13,
Yeah.
this series is phenomenal.
Yes.
So
You know what?
could
Even
that
even if
could
he
it-
does, even if that happens, like this series is still phenomenal.
yeah, I don't compare it to, but the best part of the whole Twilight series was this huge 20 minute battle that ended up being in the mind of one of the vampires or something. That it never happened. It was going to happen if they would have made
Wait,
choice X. But
hold the telephone for just a moment, please. Did you just say there was a best thing about the movie Twilight?
yes, I did.
Did you fall and hit your head today? Are you drunk?
I stand by that too. I stand by that too.
Did you recently have a stroke?
I stand by that.
Are you Darryl from another multiverse?
I stand by that. Although I can't not confirm nor deny that your initial question.
Wait, okay. So I'm going to derail this because I tried to watch the first one and I never made it all the way
Well, the
through.
first one's terrible. The first one's bad. It's the worst one of like by a long shot.
It had a bunch of sparkle vampires who were trying to play baseball.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Back to the Penguin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very good show. We've sang its praises. I actually gave this show the highest rating I think I've ever given a show. For this particular episode, especially with it being the penultimate episode, which if you know anything about my love of the word penultimate, it starts from the fact that most shows' finale are never as good as the second to last episode of a season. Right? The season finale is never as good as this. Rarely.
It's
like,
I don't know.
Like and you know, I'm not going to pretend like there weren't 6 and 7 with this, but like Buffy season 5, leading up to the fifth episode with Dawn getting taken and everything, that episode had so many stakes, so much stake to it. Not just the stakes that like Mr. Pointy, but like actual like, you know, peril for the characters, that it just made the finale pay off even more for when they killed her. Spoilers, fuck you, it's 20 years old. But for this one now, it's like, okay, we're going in not only into the season finale, but as far as we know, the series finale. They took a major player off the table with Maroney in this episode, right? Which was great. And we'll get to that. But what they've set up for the showdown between Oz and Sophia, it's like, this is awesome. This is what good TV is all about.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't talked about any of this, like, at all. Like, this is our first conversation about this because, like, we've both been pretty busy and haven't really talked. Other than the fact that Venom 3 was really good. And you let our audience down by not seeing it. Anyway, excuse me. But I mean, just this whole thing. And, you know, the way they did the flashbacks in this episode were just masterfully just woven into the story. And
well, this is one of those shows. Yes, this is because we're watching two shows that are doing flashbacks now, and like the first couple episodes of this season of, I almost said Smallville, of Supes and Lolo had some amazing flashbacks, and it's not just the flashbacks themselves are good, it's how it's interwoven into what's going on in current day,
right?
Because a lot of shows, you can have good flashbacks, but doesn't necessarily carry forward through what's going on in the present day. The way they used these were, again, and they didn't use them a lot either.
Right.
I will say that like they used a longer flashback to start. And so instead of like say Superman and Lois,
too. That was what was cool.
Yes. Yeah. So Superman and Lois, for example, they use they like for the example for the one episode 2 or 3, episode 3, I think,
right,
or 2, they use a flashback. They're shorter, but they're interspersed throughout. But they either lead into something or they're leading out of something. And like you said, that was a great point. You said the flashbacks in this episode of Penguin, which is called Top Hat, it bookends everything. It bookends marvelously what's going on
right
in the present day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like the the episode with Sophia, with seeing
Yes.
her flashbacks, and then that whole episode was a flashback, and then they interwove. They did the opposite, right? They interwove the present day into
present day,
what
yeah.
she was going through, and what the outcome of each of those things were. Yeah, this was such a good episode just from the start. When he finds Vic, and we only got Vic for like 12 seconds at screen time, right? And
Yeah.
he was like, get out of here, you gotta go. And then as Vic's leaving as he's ushering out at the window, he looks at me and goes, bring me an army. And it was like,
Yeah.
yes, bring him fucking Vic, bring him an army now. Like, don't wait, go get one. And we got to see the more devious side of both Sophia and Oz in this episode. And it was really cool. And Sophia putting together Oz's past, like, because the flashbacks were basically the story that Mama Cobb was telling, to Sophia. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where the through line of this episode, and it's in a way the show itself is, well, it's ambition, but at the heart of it, it's trauma and how it shapes us.
Yes.
And it goes for everyone. It goes for, Sophia, obviously, Oz and Vic, all of these individuals, and how the trauma that they've experienced throughout. And again, it's not like necessarily throughout their life, but it's more specific events, markers in their life where something tragic or something, unexpected happens, and how that scars them and through for the future. And what we're seeing is them pretty much dealing with that as they navigate this world of Gotham in this season.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's just been super, super, super interesting to see. I don't know. It's so fun. It's so well written. It's so well acted. This episode was make sure I have the right. Yeah, it was directed by a guy named Kevin Bray, and it was written by a guy named Nick Town. Oh wait, nope, sorry. It was directed by Kevin Bray. It was written by Vladimir. I'm not even going to take a guess at that last name. You guys can look it up on IMDb. But yeah, I thought it was funny that Francis did not worry a lot about where the boys were when Oz was like, no, they're at Beetlejuice. Like, did they ever find their bodies? Like, these are questions that I have.
I'm pretty sure I think, because I don't know. They never 100% say that they did, because again, I was watching a reaction to the season of this couple that I listened to, and watching where in the first episode when I think Vic asked, and it might be Sophia, somebody asked Oz, how did your brothers die, and he said Gotham took them, just like everybody else.
Gotham took them.
So
they died young.
Yeah. Is this the time that we laud Colin Farrell once again as Oz Cobb? And by the way, the kid that played the younger version of him was perfect casting.
He had the waddle down perfect.
He did. Man, yes, he did. So I almost think they did, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the only way they would have been able to find it is if Oz told them, or Oz said, hey, that we were here, or what have you. So because the one thing I liked, and I didn't realize until obviously watching episode 6 and then going back, is there's a shot in one of the first 3 episodes when he's down there, and when they find that place, they kind of zoom in on that door for a split second.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And then now you know why that's important.
Right. And then because he got to that door, that's the door that saved him at the end too, which was kind of cool.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, this kid
Yeah.
hasn't been in
After Sophia.
anything.
Yeah. After Sophia
Ryder.
did her
Oh, yeah.
her best rendition of Cersei.
Mm-hmm. So
Like,
I liked how
F the people.
I liked
I
how
just want to get Oz.
I liked how the driver just took off, right? Like he just like
Yeah.
opened the door and like left and like Oz didn't think anything of it. And then she's like, I think you've got enough time.
Yeah.
And Oz didn't ask anyone for help. Like or like let them know or anything. He wasn't like, bomb, get out, it's a bomb, get out.
Yeah.
He just took off.
Yeah. Which I thought that was. I mean, I know he's into saving his own skin,
Yeah.
but
Where's my mom?
Yeah.
Vic, where's my mom?
And yeah. He is so good. But
So good.
yeah, this episode, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. You have Sophia talking to her niece, who pretty much is the only one that could finger her for what happened to the family. Yeah. And the conversation she has with hers is because she is so unstable in the sense of you just never know what she's going to do. Just like I said, I compared her in episode 1 to Homelander. You not with the power, but necessarily that you just don't know with those crazy eyes she has.
Right.
You just don't know what she's thinking, what she's going to do, and you don't know what she's going to do with her niece. And then she kind of tells her, "Hey, it's okay," and then you deserve better. Every one of those people got what they deserved.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, well, I mean, she's not wrong, and then with Oz, and I know you alluded to it before, Oz and Sal, man, that
fight.
I mean, we had
awesome. That was such a good fight.
Two grown men, like this is like the one of two grown men fights we're going to be talking about tonight, and the way it ended was. It's not something you should laugh at, but I had to laugh at it.
I mean, it was like I don't know, when his heart gave out and Oz was like, I still win. It's like, oh my God, how did Oz clutch victory from the jaws of defeat there, right?
Yeah. And he made sure that Sal knew it before. That was the last thing Sal saw and heard is like, I beat you.
Yeah.
I win.
Oh yeah.
And then he died.
Yeah. And he was like, I'm out.
And given a speech to a dead guy and then put 8 bullets in him afterwards.
Right. It's the only thing that Oswald Cobb would do, right? Because he doesn't want everybody to know he had a heart attack. He wants people to think that he killed him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a couple good speeches. Like his speech, the episode before in Gold Summit, at the end when he's talking to all the gangsters, as far as rather work with people you hate than work for somebody who don't even know your name. And then when he talks to his men in this one, where he says, "Hey, you defended your home, you defended your brothers. Are you ready to throw down?" And well, we know what happens to all of them, but still, great speech. I mean, Oz he is such a fascinating character, not just for the psychology and the trauma, especially now that we've gotten more in this episode of what shaped him and what he was like as young Oz.
Right.
But also, I mean, how many times has he gotten out of situations by thinking on his feet and turning the situation in his favor, just like you said, getting victory out of the jaws of defeat.
Right.
He is the consummate survivor.
Yes.
There's no better word I think to use for Oz Cobb. Oz Cobb is. They should have just kept calling it Cobblepot. But anyway,
I get why they didn't. But yeah, you're right.
It's silly. Anyway, you still have the Batman. So what's the difference if you have a guy named Cobblepot?
Right.
But the point is, the guy is a survivor, and we've had so many moments throughout this show to remind us the type of person he is. And this is what's great writing is. It reminds us we understand what type of person he is. I mean, he's just, and I know he was using it as a distraction, but telling Sal's like, yeah, the smell of all this, and did your wife use like some weird hair stuff because that smell?
Right.
But also there are moments, and this usually, obviously with his mom, that shows that, man, you're rooting for this guy. I mean, again, I'm rooting for this guy from the start, even though he's a scumbag, but he's the protagonist of this story.
Right.
And I just love what what is the showrunner's name? Because she has done a phenomenal.
Lauren Lebec. Let me double check.
She has done a phenomenal job putting this together.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
And again,
Lauren,
I know
Lauren LaFranc.
LaFranc. Yeah.
So this show is like, it is paced at a beat that, like, it just pops. And
this is the thing. We talk, and again, not when I say not just us, but talk shit about bad shows, just like we should. You should call out bad shows and excoriate them as much as you would like if they're truly bad and not you're reaching. But if they're bad shows, you call them out bad.
Right.
But the people that say, oh, these people don't like X, Y, and Z,
Mm-hmm.
they ignore when we laud shows like this, when we laud a showrunner like Lauren or LaFranc, when we laud a character like Sophia Gigante. They ignore it, or a support character like Vic, who we both love. Well, they ignore stuff like that.
Let's talk about the scene between Sophia and Francis, when she's like, "Oh, you went and you changed your name to Gigante. Oh, you're a new person." It was like, whoa! Like, she's like, when she's going in between lucid state and like dementia state, and like she's just brutal all the way around. And then when she smacks Sophia from the dementia state, and when she smacks her, she comes back to Francis, right? And Francis is kind of a badass, right?
Yes.
But jumping to the end of the episode, the flashback at the end where she takes him to the Maroney's club and she takes him dancing and they're all dressed to the nines and they're having a good time. And she gives Oz the most damage that anyone has ever given to Oz, in my opinion, on the whole show so far, right? Because he's taken some beat downs. They tried to cut his arm off. But when she told him, Oz, you have to take care of me. I deserve nice things and you have to get them for me. And that, like, it didn't break him in the way that it made him sad. It broke him in the way that, like, he was going to do whatever it takes to make his mom proud or to give his mom these things. He doesn't care if she's proud of him or not. Like, that's the God's honest truth. But he just does everything to get her what her goal is, because he's nothing but a waddling fat mama's boy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
That scene actually makes the previous, when she says, when he's in bed with her and she says, what kind of boy can't take care of his mom? It, like, learning what she said to him in this episode makes that even stronger in the sense of, oh man, that's a gut punch for him.
Yeah, it just
even more than we thought. Even though we knew it was a gut punch, it's even more so after learning that line you just talked about.
It also reminded me of another great movie called Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, when the scene where the Joker is like letting Bruce know he knows who he is, and he's like, "You're just a costume. You're just a little boy in a costume crying out for mommy and daddy. It'd be pathetic if it wasn't so sad. What the hell? I'll laugh anyway, right?" And it's like, dude, you can't laugh at Oz for this. You just they in the moment that they showed you the birth of the Penguin, the villain, the bad guy, right? Your heart breaks for this kid even after he killed his brothers. And it is just the writing, the directing, the acting. This kid, Ryder Allen, he played that just so spot on. It was great. It was so good. So out of 5 drowned brothers in a sewer, what do you give this episode?
I give it a 4.55. It's just like everything else with this show. I mean, even though we had last week where it was and I'm using quotations here, it was somewhat disappointing, which at the same time
Yeah.
it was still a very good show, and
Right.
I think we both gave it a 4 or something like
Yeah,
that.
we were both.
But
I can tell you exactly what we gave it. You gave it a 4.25, and I gave it a 4.31. So, yeah.
yeah, and this show, I as good as we did our rating so far, I still think, again, unless they just completely drop the ball, which again, 7 episodes in, they ain't dropping the ball for the finale. I
Yeah,
don't think.
let's hope not. But
There's-
yeah,
Yeah, I won't say it's unlikely. I'm not going to say they won't, but it's unlikely. I think this is going to be a show to me that is going to be strong. Is going to be greater than the sum of its parts, meaning that as good as each episode is, when you tie it together, the score is going to likely be higher than if you would looked at the episodes on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
It's that good.
yeah.
It is. I can't wait.
So
I can't
when-
wait to see what we get next week.
When you say it's that good, I agree with you because this is the highest score I've ever given. I think I've given a show since we started doing this. I give it a 4.92. I love this episode. I watched it twice. I didn't have to, but I did anyway, just because I enjoyed it so much.
The only reason I didn't watch it twice is I just didn't have the time.
Right.
That I really wanted to watch it again. I really wanted to watch it again.
Yeah. So good. So very good. You definitely all need to go and if you're not watching, like maybe just skip to this episode. Watch it without any of the context and see what you think. Anyway, that would be pretty funny. All right, let's move on to Supes and Lolo, Superman and Lois. If you're nasty, or if you've been to a Diddy party. Anyway, this is another one. It was a step up from last week. Just as a reminder, last week for Supes and Lolo, you gave it a 3.65 and I gave it a 4.10. But yeah, this episode, it's episode 6, so we've only got 4 episodes of Superman and Lois left. 4. It makes me super sad.
With that, that's really sad. Like that's so sad right now. I'm sad.
So this episode, John is like just out there saving everybody's lives. He's just like, he's picked up the slack for his dad and he's doing things that Jordan never dreamed of being able to do. Jordan's just sitting around playing video games.
Yeah. And look, how funny would it be if the Smallville theme was playing in somebody's headphones or something like that. But that's what John was doing. I mean, that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like he went to 3 different places because he couldn't sleep. Right. He's like, sleep.
I couldn't sleep, so I went and made some saves, and I heard Montreal had good bagels, so they do. It's really cool. The Clark Kent nerd dad took a turn. He dyed his hair.
Oh my goodness.
He had a little gray spot and he dyed his hair and he's like, I'm not ready for the world to see Superman with gray hair.
And again, when we were talking about when I mentioned how Penguin is a summation of like how trauma shapes us, almost like the through line here is, especially once he returned, is the idea of getting older.
Yeah.
And because the conversations he's had with Lois in this episode, and especially in the couple before this, where they talk about, and again, Lois has her own trauma where she's going through chemo for the breast cancer and everything.
Yeah.
So they can relate to like not feeling like they used to. And it's just so weird, Superman having to dye his hair.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But
quick Superman question, but not Superman and Lois. How old was Kingdom Come Superman? Because that's the picture of where he has
the salt and pepper.
Reed Richards, Reed Richards type salt and pepper.
I don't know. I want to say he was like older, like I mean, because Bruce is in like his 80s, so he might be around there.
Mhm.
There's a really quick way we can find this. So it says he's depicted as being in his 60s in Kingdom Come.
Interesting.
So, but here, wait. There's also a mention on Reddit saying that his age should be around 70 to 75, which actually probably makes a little more sense. But so somewhere between 60 and 75. How about that?
Okay.
So
That's just curious about that.
Well, Brandon Routh was that kind of version of Superman in
Oh yeah.
the crossover, which was pretty cool. So I thought that was funny when Lois and Iris were like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" Oh, but yeah. So
I'm so glad we got this version of Superman than what we got in that. And
yeah. Oh, this version of
like
Superman.
the less I think about that versus the Tyler Hoechlin in Superman in this versus what we got with him in Supergirl when he jobbed out to Supergirl.
You mean when he showed up and she immediately beat the crap out of him? Yeah, that one. That's when I stopped watching that show. I was like, come on. I know.
I was like,
it's called Supergirl, but come on.
But when she was like, he said, no, I wasn't holding back. I thought you were X, Y, and Z. You beat me, and I was like, I'm out. I'm done with this bullshit.
When he said that.
It's like Superman is not a jobber. Like Superman is not. He's never will be.
Yep.
So anyway, back to something good.
Yeah, back to something good. So John's out there doing his thing. Lex. So I think we saw a little bit of that cerebral Lex you want to see. But then they immediately shat all over it and had him and Clark get into a fist fight. So, but I liked Lex in this episode. I think you're starting to influence me a little bit with, the logic, and I'm kind of like,
with the logic.
You make a point. God damn it, you're right. I guess I agree. Okay, yeah, you're right. It's just I kind of like had to work all the way through it, but Lex is trying to build a Luthor Corp headquarters in Smallville, and there's a scene where Clark and Lana go and talk this woman out of buying or selling her farm, selling her land. And she's like, well, Clark, you give up enough for all of us. And Clark's like, wait, I think she knows I'm Superman. I think everyone in the town knows he's Superman at this point.
Yeah, they pretty much all know now.
And when Lex confronts her at that bar or wherever they were, and he's like, I'll give everyone $10 million for her land. And those dudes were like, yeah, you need to go. That was such a cool scene, except for the fact that I think it really devalued Lex Luthor.
It basically said like I absolutely see what you're talking about there. I love that scene because, and I have in my notes, Smallville stands together. And because I know that
proud.
We watch these we watch these shows for escapism,
right?
And but then I love reading real stories where you see people in small communities stick together, and instead of some of the chaos that we see a lot more of the time in the news, I like those human interest stories where we see stuff like this, these people sticking together. And that's what, again, Superman is about hope. Like just Superman in general is about hope. And this community, especially because like you said, pretty much most of the community knows who he is,
right? At
least the people that were in the streets that day, and seeing them stand together like that. And these are just regular people. This isn't Lois. This isn't Clark. There aren't the super sons. And they basically stare down the monster in Lex Luthor. And you're absolutely right. I don't know if I really thought about it until you said that it does diminish him. because you basically got kicked out of town
Yeah.
by Smallville, not Clark, not Lois, by the people of Smallville.
Yeah. You will run out. Get out. Yeah, I just, it's one of those things that just boiled him down to a wallet and not this like great supervillain. And, it made me sad that they did that, because I do think Michael Cudlitz is playing the character super, super awesome.
Yeah. And again, you're what he's doing himself, because I cannot like that how he's being portrayed, how Lex Luthor is being portrayed. At the same time, I can say that Kudlitz, for what he's tasked to do, he is doing a bang up job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I mean, like, to throw it back to, like, we like to talk about Star Wars, right? Like, Kelly Marie Tran, I liked her. I liked, like, until Rose tried to kill everybody in The Last Jedi. I was like, I actually like this character. Like, I like her. I don't like what they're doing with the character, but I like the character, and I like this actress.
Right.
I like the way she's playing it. And, like, but at the end of the day, if you write a character poorly, kind of like you have bullied me into believing here, it's just but he's not a poorly written character. He's just a different version of Lex Luthor, and it's not working as well as it should, I think, because the rest of the show is so relatively wholesome that he's he belongs in like a Frank Miller story, not this Superman story. Does that make sense?
You know who played a better version? Yeah, you know who was a better version of Lex Luthor that I would have liked? Was Morgan Edge.
Yeah.
I mean, same type of, genius, like billionaire, all this stuff. And we know who he was, but all of this stuff. And yet you saw the conniving part. You saw the planning ahead part. Right. And what do we get in here? This is what annoyed me towards the end. And then I know we'll go back, but because we're focusing on Lex,
right,
is where his assistant Amanda says, I'm always with you.
Right.
And what does she say? First thing you need is a kick-ass suit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you don't think Lex would have thought of that. And it's going back to what you said about the town kicking him out and diminishing in him. Right. It takes away his agency that he's not the one that thought about, what, maybe I should put a suit together.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not the ones, as it were. Yeah. I think that's exactly it. I think it's kind of sad that he needs a sidekick. He should have been running LexCorp from prison, not, relying on somebody else, as it were.
Right. Yeah. And, for a split second after the first thing we see is him burning the past away. As far as burning the picture of his daughter, which all this stuff because he wants revenge on Lois.
Yeah.
For a split second when he's in the bathroom and he has the razor, going back to what you said, last week or the week before.
Yeah.
I thought for a second he's shaving it off. He's shaving it off.
It's next week with the super suit. So,
where is my super suit?
I mean, I'm the greatest good you're ever gonna need. That's the greatest line in that whole movie. I love it. Honey, where is my super suit? It's for the greater good.
But going back to what you said about this show being more wholesome and how Lex belongs more in a Frank Miller type comic.
This Lex.
We have a very Lex, yeah. We have a very un-Smallville like home invasion scene with Otis trying to, spoiler alert, kill the mayor of Smallville.
Unalive the mayor of Smallville, if you will.
I mean, that was a brutal scene.
It was super brutal. I thought, because like Lana's not a regular. Like Emmanuel Chikari is not a regular. They figured out how to write NDRE off with Sarah, thank God. But yeah, I just feel like everything that happened in this episode is just leading us to John Henry Iron's death, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, I know we talked about it. It was episode 3 or 4 when the general dies. For a second, when you see the preview of that episode, and I don't think you saw the preview just because of you watch it on the app,
Right.
but because we had talked about it, and it looked like Doomsday was going to get him there. But yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Especially because we already find out that him and Lana have been dating for a month or so.
Yeah, only a month.
That's going to make it even more.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough for sure. So to see that happen, but it is it's a very, very good show. You should all be watching it. I expect Doomsday back at some point, but he's gonna help, which will be strange.
It's going to be very strange. So. And are we going to get any more from Milton? Because I mean, this guy's pretty much a brainiac,
Well,
I never mentioned that
a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So. Like that Milton is the guy that does all the stuff, and Amanda called him. He basically said he's a regular brainiac or something like that.
So, yeah,
it was like in season 2, this bizarre version of Superman running around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I assume that's what it's going to be, but you never know.
Yeah. This was definitely a shot in the right direction after the disappointing, episode last week. Yeah. But again, disappointing is in the sense of what we've come to know and love about Superman and Lois.
Disappointing.
Yes.
Wait, go back and say that sentence again. You said disappointing is what we've come to know and love for Superman and Lois.
No, well, I said disappointing in what we've come to know.
Okay.
Basically saying that
the sentence made it sound like we've come to know and love.
Oh no,
it's like being a Bengals fan, right? You love them because they disappoint you.
Yeah.
So,
anyway. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can relate. New York Football Giants. So
I mean, there were people who had to check their children's Halloween baskets and bags and pumpkins for people slipping Giants tickets in there. So that's pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yeah, so. It's watching this season. Don't get me wrong. I've really enjoyed this season, but I do feel the loss when you have characters not around because of budget constraints.
Yeah.
It goes back to me to as much as it meant to watch it. There was something missing from that finale, that full finale of Supernatural, or as you call it, the 15 season retrospective.
The 15-year retrospective, the 10-year retrospective of the finale.
Yes, you could tell something was wrong because again, this was during COVID and everything. So. And again, they film in Canada, and we know what Canada's was like back then.
Blame Canada. Blame Canada.
Yes, there was definitely something missing, and it's not nearly as pronounced in this show. But when you get Kyle for an episode, again, I don't care about Chrissy,
right.
But I really like Kyle as a character.
Right.
When you get as much as you don't like her, and I'm not a really huge fan of her either. Sarah leaving, and it's just, but more importantly, Natalie and John Henry not being in it. They've been in it one episode, one full episode.
Right.
And now you have the general. Sam Lane's gone for obvious reasons.
Right.
It I won't say it diminishes it for me, but it makes me sad that because of higher up choices and basically thinking that us fans aren't smart enough to understand the difference of a small screen Superman versus a Superman in the big screen, we get this. And despite all of that, Todd Helbing and his crew still are crafting very good character
Oh
pieces
yeah.
that make me smile almost every time. Like
They're
I'm
giving
watching it.
us
Like
what we want.
watching,
Yeah.
yeah, like watching Jonathan go save things.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, and yeah, like look at this. Yeah, and I know talked about, Montreal had good bagels and just the fun that he's having or the excitement he has of saving people left and right. And I really hope, and I think we got this at the end of the episode, Jordan understanding he can't just sit things out.
I think
He
I
has
definitely think he came to that conclusion.
it's along the lines of with great power comes great responsibility. And if you have the power to save people like he does, and
Hmm.
you're just sitting around playing video games and trying to get a job at a diner, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. I
And
did.
yeah, you're right. He absolutely came to
Yeah.
that realization.
When Lex turned the red sunlight on, through the street lamps, I did like Lois holding the boys back, kind of like Sean Flaherty in Boondock Saints when Norman Reedus was fighting the Russian guy, and she's like, "He's got
Oh
this.
yeah,
Leave him. He's got to do this." So
that that scene that was a pretty
yeah,
wild scene.
right. And same thing with Rocco later on in the movie, but like she kind of just held the boys back, like,
Yeah,
"Whoa, he's got this." And then like he went full
yeah.
Mortal Kombat. It's pretty funny. But yeah,
Which is funny because that's Jordan's game. We
hmm,
saw that from episode
yeah,
one of season
yeah,
one.
exactly. And he was playing beating up Superman.
Superman's lame.
Yeah,
He's like
Superman's lame.
Superman's lame.
Yep. So anyway, all right. You got anything else you want to add?
No, it makes me sad that we have a Penguin ending next
Mm-hmm.
week, and then we have 4 episodes of this. But the good news is we have 2 shows coming up: Dune Prophecy, and then 10 days from now, Cobra Kai,
Yeah, and
part two of
Jellystone.
season final.
Jellystone comes back. Yellowstone.
Ooh, yeah, it does.
So
Yes,
for the
it does.
final half of the fifth season, which I think is it for
The
that.
eight
But
episodes,
yeah,
is
yeah,
it eight
8 I
episodes, I
think.
think, coming
So,
back. So yeah,
but
we still got some good stuff left, even though
we
we're
got some good
losing.
TVs. Yeah.
Yeah, even though we're losing, and this year has been good for TVs.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be hard breaking down what's gonna be on my top 5 TV list
Especially because I haven't
because
been writing down what I've been watching.
see, I've been doing that.
I've
Like
been doing it with the
I'm not gonna
movies.
go.
So
Well, I just have my notes app. I
yeah,
have
I
one
do
for TV
too,
and one
and
for
I
YouTube.
only made one for the movies. But I have this handy tool called Evernote that I can go back from the beginning of the year and look at what we've
Yeah,
watched. So
yeah. I was gonna say like what Shogun, Masters of the Air, these 2
yeah,
shows.
I mean, Masters of the
Yeah,
Air is like definitely in my top two. Justified, Detroit, is up there. I enjoyed that. These two, obviously. Yeah, I think we might have to do top tens this year. I mean, I'm
yeah.
assuming Dune Prophecy is going to be really good.
X-Men 97.
Yeah, X-Men 97, Tales of the Empire.
Invincible season 2 was on. Was this year?
Yeah.
We had
Um,
Avatar. Oh,
the
never mind. I mean,
Acolyte.
we had the Acolyte. I mean,
So
no, we had
Obi-Wan
the
was this
Bolton.
year, right?
No,
The Boys, Cobra Kai. I want a
yeah,
Varsity Blues TV show. Like what happened in
dude.
West
The fact
Canaan
that that's
after
the other
Bud
thing that
Kilmer
they,
left. Oh, we
yeah,
forgot about the
the fact that
coach.
they mentioned
The coach was trying to get them to come out and play football because he knows they're super. That was hilarious. And Jonathan's like, I'm
that was
banned for
awesome.
life. He's like, oh, don't, I'll take care of that.
It's like I'm talking about state championships,
So he
college.
college. He made me watch Varsity Blues, the one that James Vanderbeek movie. Yeah, I loved it. You know why? You
And
know why
like
he loved it, Daryl?
what?
Because playing football at Smallville High may have been the opportunity of your life. But Jordan does not want
I don't
Your
want
life.
your life. That was the funny part that
The
I kind
other
of
day at
glazed
work,
over.
I
That
just
was
broke into like having an entire conversation with my team just in Varsity Blues quotes. Oh, it was a
oh
good
my
time.
goodness.
I love it. Anyway, all right. On that note, thank you all for listening. Hopefully we'll be back next week. The world might be ending. Make sure you keep one chambered tonight. And Darryl, anything you want to add?
I just realized that I haven't watched an episode of The Old Man since episode 2.
Yeah, I started watching Silo. I like Silo. Silo's good.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Did we rate? Did we give our rating for Supes and
Oh
Lolo?
no, we did
I don't think
not.
we did.
Let me come back over here to our handy dandy rating system. Superman and Lois. So out of 5 red light beatdowns, I'll just spoil it. We both gave it 4.25.
Yes. It's right back on track.
Right back on track. This was really good. Actually, I was a little because I was a 4.10 last week. Yeah, back on track. Good show. Great show. Love it. All right, we're gonna go so I can edit this. Bye.
See ya.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamous podcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.